Venice, California. We got it all here. We got beautiful beaches, beautiful women. We got sunshine 24/7 hanging out on Venice, California. This is the home of movie stars and fast cars. That's what I'm talking. What do you want? You want to lift weights? You want to sail a boat? You want to surf? What you want to do? Because you can do it in Venice, California. Come on down. Have a good time. Yeah.
My name is Carlo Sansonetti.
My name is Matthew Schultz.
My name is Dennis. I'm from British Columbia, Canada.
Hi, my name is Stephen Wild.
My name is Dan DeMarco.
My name's Elizabeth Oakes.
My name is Ron Messa.
Hi, my name is Keiko.
I am Philippe de Voorts.
Frédéric Soumania. I'm the co-founder of the Cyberplug studio and I'm the director of the short movie Gran'Ma.
Les chansons de Paris se fredonnent tôt ou tard comme de belles endormies.
Xavier Canoville, 24 ans, célibataire, j'habite à Courbevoie.
Et au grand jour, les chansons de Paris.
Donc, je m'appelle François Deruel.
Je m'appelle Christophe Gontier.
Je m'appelle Jean-Philippe Durand. Je suis plus connu de pas mal de personnes sur le pseudo de Delmout.
Saint-Michel.
William Martin, j'ai 28 ans.
To spend some time, I was like drawing on a post-it, and at some point, the character of Plock just came out by itself, and I started to get some kind of idea for a short animated film.
Fred had a very good script and storyboard with it. And one day we were talking how we can make this script onto the movie possible.
By discussing with Keiko, we realized that it's maybe totally possible to do this kind of internet studio.
It was at this moment the Cyberbox studio idea was born. As a producer, first thing I had to do is recruit, scout talented artists.
A company called Rezo, based in France, developed the promotional website. It was important to have this website right away because it was some kind of a promotional website that artists can access and already learn about the production.
C'est vraiment le genre de projet qui grandissent, mais qui partent d'une idée toute simple au départ. Commencer un site internet qui était censé réunir des gens pour travailler sur un même film d'animation. Plus les participants sont nombreux, et plus le film peut être vite réalisé. Au départ, il y avait un nombre très hypothétique de 500 participants.
It was a nice surprise. I received a lot of response from the people all over the world.
I just contacted them and asked what exactly this company was all about. When I first heard about it, I wasn't very sure that it was a very serious project.
On a commencé à communiquer beaucoup par Internet, Frédéric et moi. Arrivé le jour où le travail de lighting sur le film a commencé à débuter, ben, il m'a dit bon, maintenant si tu te sens prêt, tu vas pouvoir bosser sur le film.
J'ai rencontré Jean-Philippe donc sur le net et donc il m'a proposé de travailler éventuellement sur Cyberplock.
Ouais, c'est la magie d'Internet, ça c'est évident. Mais en fait, je travaillais sur un channel d'IRC qui s'appelle 3DFR, celui-là. Et j'ai sympathisé avec plusieurs personnes, dont Jean-Philippe Dandurand, qui bossait déjà lui sur le lighting et le compositing de Gran'Ma. Ils arrivent en fin de prod, ils avaient besoin de mains et de souris pour finaliser tout ça. Au début, j'y croyais à peine. Puis quand c'est arrivé, j'ai dit oui tout de suite, quoi.
Another company based in Los Angeles, Cirque Digital, helped us to develop the member area. Because since we are an internet studio, we need to have like a platform, we need to have a database that people can access in order to get information about the entire production.
Is this filming going to be done on the floor? Okay. I saw this gentleman shooting across the street. That's why I stopped him. And if you're going to shoot inside the suite, that's fine.
Yeah. We are not filming the building.
All right. Okay, just go ahead and go up.
Cyberplug approached us to connect about 30 to 40 artists worldwide, all over the globe, from Japan and to Europe, Belgium, France, and the US, to create this environment, this virtual studio, if you will.
What we're developing at Cirque Digital is an entirely virtual studio. We're very happy that Cyberplug used the technology very early on, was our first beta tester, and proved to us that this is not a dream, that this can actually be done, and you can create a very high profile and very high quality product using very simple means such as the internet. It started out with a PHP-based web server that dynamically creates the pages and allows everybody to be on the same page. It basically is a framework that allows you to manage very high volumes of digital assets.
During these 9 months of pre-production, I also spent a lot of time preparing a storyboard animatic. It's just like a succession of drawings. And in Premiere, I put all those images together to create some kind of editing of the film. So it was the first time I was really going from the script to a more cinematographic approach for the film. And I also recorded some temporary voices for the character. So I was able to do like the entire film done with drawing and with continuity, etc.
Your feet should be spread like this, and your bow is placed like that. You'll grab your arrow, put it in place. You see that small cloud lingering overhead? That is your target. Now, shoot when you think it's right.
Already from the beginning, I had this kind of like comic book look for the character. If you look at Gran'Ma, you'll see that you have like a very realistic background, and on top of this realistic background, you have pure cell animation. I wanted to keep the graphic aspect of the character. With the 3D world, you get the notion of death. Suddenly you have this graphic look in 3 dimensions, that if you move the camera, you get the parallax between the foreground element and the background elements. And the character seems to really fit in this world.
There is two major scenes, one in the forest, one in the prairie. The prairie is outside, there are lots of grass. Clock is running, he's interacting with this grass blowing in the wind.
Keiko was using like a mixture of 3D paint effect grass mixed with 2D cards where she was mapping like textures, etc.
It's a lots of layer of 3D paint effects glass, then the animated mud, then the sky.
The older ones in the village, they believe that you have to go naked to please Mother Nature.
In Maya, you have access to a lot of tools that can simulate plants, trees, etc., grass, etc. We used the fur program for the grass on the ground of the forest. We were able to make it look not like hair, but we made it look more like a tiny little moss. And for all the plants that you can see in between the trees, the fern, the bushes, and some very tiny trees, we used paint effect.
Alors, le paint effect, c'est la technologie propre à Maya, donc ça sert à faire tout ce qui est gazon, plantes, arbres. C'est une technologie assez intéressante qui ne consomme pas trop de ressources en 3D, mais par contre qui est assez lourde Au niveau déplacement de scène, dès que ça commence à être assez fourni. C'est un système de brush, il y a des preset avec plusieurs réglages. Donc les réglages sont déjà définis et donc suffit de peindre un peu en quelque sorte dans sa scène en 3D, là où on veut mettre nos plantes, quoi. Il y a les tricards. Les tricards donc, qui sont des arbres 3D qui ont été rendus et qui sont incorporés en 2D dans le fond du décor. C'est vraiment ce qu'il y a de plus long à faire au début.
Le développement d'un script, ça part d'un problème, un problème d'affichage OpenGL. Il devait afficher 128 cards et il fallait aller sélectionner la texture à chaque fois à afficher pour chaque carte. Donc 128, ça fait un petit peu long. Et donc j'ai automatisé ça. On sélectionne le matériau ou le type de matériau. Et là, on va choisir le canal de texture à afficher. Et un autre petit script tout bête qu'on m'a demandé, c'était aussi de faire en sorte que ces 128 cards soient toujours orientés vers la caméra en fonction de son déplacement, comme des tournesols qui regardent tout le temps le soleil.
All the forest was divided into multiple layers. All those layers were then composited together in a software called Shake.
Fred utilise une analogie, il dit que c'est comme une pile d'assiettes. C'est un empilement de couches, de plaques, avec divers trous qui permettent de voir jusqu'à telle profondeur.
Là, on va pouvoir appliquer des effets, réajuster les couleurs, réajuster du blur sur chaque passe, et obtenir une image finale qui doit être cohérente à travers toutes les personnes qui ont bossé sur le lighting et le compositing en fait.
I give the illusion that the forest is very large and goes like very far towards the horizon. It was also useful to achieve the cartoon look of the character. Everything is done in the compositing. I have like 5 layers, and in Shake I can combine those layers. I can create the black outlines in a very easy way and in a very aesthetic way, I think.
I don't believe this!
What the hell? What's going on?
What do you mean, what the? Hasn't anyone taught you not to curse in front of me?
I thought about a internet studio like maybe 5 or maybe like 6 years ago. Everybody was saying, it's impossible. How can you do that, And we actually did a movie on the internet. So I think this limitation is just temporary.
My big problem at the beginning was I was using a 56K connection, which was extremely slow.
Carlo did actually an amazing job, and he went far beyond what I was expecting.
The setup is basically the inner structure of the character. I started off creating all the bones inside the geometry, and after I set up all the limitations of the joints so that animators will only have to use a slider in order to close the hand like this as a fist, or like move the wrist around or something like that. At the beginning of the production, we thought it was good to create two setups for both characters. I built a low-resolution setup with low-resolution geometry on it, and that allowed the animators to basically animate the character in such a way that it was very light, very easy for the computer to handle.
We didn't really do final animation of the characters. What we did was just the major keyframes.
We spent an entire year working with approximately like 40 animators to do the 3D animatic. They were just using the low-resolution setup to animate the body of the characters, the choreography of the characters, the body language, etc. The 3D animatic became like very useful. It was at this moment I was really creating a movie. I knew exactly what would be the frame range for each shot. So when we started to do high-res animation, this 3D animatic became like the reference.
When basically we started the high-res animation, I had to do a new setup for the high-resolution geometry. I was able to take the low resolution model of the character and put it on the new setup. The animators were able to animate the character in an easy way, and when the animation was done, we were able to take the character and rendering it with only just a clickable button, just by smoothing it and just rendering it.
As lead animator, what we did is I would get the shots from the low res, working with the low res shots in high res.
When we did the high res, setup was fixed so that we could finalize the animation, and also we did the facial animations, the expression, and the lip syncing.
At the beginning, I wasn't really acting it out like I should have. I hadn't been animating for about a year, so I really forgot a lot of my fundamentals.
For tough shots that I really couldn't get, I would play out the motion myself, or sometimes I got my sister to do the motion for me.
And I started acting in front of the mirror. I would actually run into my bathroom, act out a little bit, and run back over to my computer, do a couple frames, run back to the bathroom, act out a little bit, run back to the computer.
When I listened to the voice of the bird, it was more expressive, and you could kind of use your imagination a lot more towards.
A hunter has to keep his eyes open when watching for prey.
I referred a lot more to cartoons with the bird than I did with Plock. Rather than with Plock, I used more real-life motions and actions.
And then eventually what I would do is I would actually just study with the TV on. I had some reference, and I'd use some reference and see how real people did similar movements, fast-forwarding and rewinding through miscellaneous DVDs and movies. With the facial expressions, I basically did it all myself, and then I kind of timed it out in my head how many frames it's going to hold an expression.
Grandma, you almost killed me!
With the hair movements, I think that was the hardest part, just because there were 12 individual dreadlocks that Grandma had around her head. And as she moves her head, the hair naturally moves. But one thing that I wanted to add is that when you move long hair, it falls over your shoulder.
What a disgrace for our family.
Carlo had made a setup where each of the joints was associated with a slider bar in the attribute editor. I determined where I wanted the hairs to be and just tried to feel how one hair would move. And so I did one hair first all the way through.
Final lesson. Now, look. Shoot me.
What?
And I remember quoting a number of times to Fred, just yelling and complaining about the hair and how tough it was, but eventually I really learned to like it.
One of the shots that I had a lot of difficulty with was the shot where the bird is laughing, banging against the tree. The shot was done a couple times over and over again by different animators, and Fred wanted me to do it better than they did, so I kept redoing it over and over again the same way that they did it. And Fred, step by step, told me exactly what he wanted me to do.
It is very difficult for me as an animation supervisor to write what an animator should, act. So for me, it would be easier to actually stand in front of the animator and act, but it wasn't possible.
When I wanted a character to do this, or when I wanted a character to scratch their head or do something subtle, to portray that involved probably 100 lines of words between myself and Fred or myself and Carlo.
Like the way we approached this kind of limitations, like we solved almost this kind of limitation, was to set up a camera in front of my workstation, and I was acting the scene out in front of the camera. Then we digitized the video and we sent it to the animators.
What Carlo did with just filming their comments and filming it, them acting it out, really helped kind of fill in that blank spot.
And the animation, I think it's pretty final. You just need to do the facial expressions and head, the tail animation, hair animation, and eyes animation.
My name is Ron Mesa. I'm a musician and a composer and as well a sound designer and mixer, audio mixer. The intro started with just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of sound. African and Brazilian instruments to make up the palette of what I ended up using. The majority of the percussion parts were done in sample cell, and I'll give you an idea of how I went about it. I used an interesting instrument called the beating bow. What it gives us is this twangy, strange kind of sound. A beating bow is shaped like a bow, which Plok is using, and it has, shaped with a bow, has one string coming down it, which the player taps with the coin, and then has like a little ball on the end. I tried to incorporate that sound only because he had the bow, and it looked interesting to me, and I thought, oh, maybe this can work together. The only, say, Western sound that I'm using is the contrabass to give me some low-end dramatic effect underneath the melody when the flute comes in with the melody. And in fact, it's not a flute at all. I'll kind of demonstrate what it is. What I'm using is an instrument called the electronic valve instrument. It allows us to actually play instrument with the feel of a live player and not with the sterility of playing a melody on a keyboard. So you can see it plays like a trumpet with the right hand. The left hand is it's a little canister that has all the octaves, and the inventor Niall Steiner created this thanks to him.
Hunter! That's what I am. I kind of feel free when I'm hunting.
Now we come to the second part of the job, and we go into Pro Tools mode, and that was the sound design and the mixing of all the audio elements. I'm using a version of Pro Tools called LE, and it's working with something called MBox. And MBox is kind of a portable version of Pro Tools that gives me 24 tracks of sound. So basically we combined all the characters down into a mixed stem, a left and right of Plok, Gran'Ma, Grandpa, jungle backgrounds. It was layers, about 7 or 8 layers of forest, jungle, prairie sounds so that I could get a little bit of movement within each shot. So as we made different shot changes, I could have birds come up, strange sounds happening. We have sound effects where all the falling, the footsteps, the getting hit on the head, pounding on the tree, that kind of stuff.
Don't worry so much, Grandpa. It's all a part of the lesson. But tell me one thing. Why is it only when you're dead that people start listening to you?
My name's Elizabeth Oakes. I'm a voiceover artist, and I am the voice of the bird, Gran'Ma. And most of the sort of stuff I do is very straightforward, sort of voice of the company. And with Gran'Ma, I really had the opportunity to just cut loose.
I don't believe this.
What the hell? What's going on?
What do you mean, what the? Hasn't anyone taught you not to curse in front of me?
You know, my life has been completely changed.
I'm just a delicious fat prey. So shoot me, for God's sake.
A hunter. That's what I am. I kind of feel free when I'm hunting. The way of the wind. The most interesting thing about Plok is that here is someone who is trying really hard to do something. I would probably enjoy speaking the words that he speaks too. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
So I thought it was interesting that we could transpose Plok's melody from this kind of urgent jungle running kind of vibe into a whole different urban street kind of thing and funky Plok.
At some point in the production, internet was no more an obstacle. It was actually the highway, it was a freeway.
C'est l'élément clé essentiel de cette production. C'est ce qui nous relie tous, c'est Internet.
All the high-res animation was done in 4 months, which is like pretty amazing.
Non, parce que je suis allé une fois à Los Angeles, mais bon, je n'allais pas y aller tous les week-ends pour lui montrer mes images, pour lui envoyer des chronoposes pour lui demander si ça lui plaît.
At the beginning, actually, I had some doubts about, if this production, would go to the end, in a linear way. But I think it is a great way to unite amazing artists together from all around the world.
It was so hard for me to find a job, just fresh out of college with no experience or hardly any references. And working over the internet is not a very big commitment for Fred or Keiko to take me on.
C'est un peu cette grande communauté où il y a de l'échange permanent, où il y a une espèce de savoir commun qui se crée.
It really makes independent film a lot more accessible to the masses. A large group of people who can't get together to work on a project.
I really want to continue to develop this type of production where we can really prove internet production is a reality.
I'm willing to go out anywhere in the world where people want to see this project, where people want to hear about our studio, how it works.
And part of the drawbacks is that we never saw each other. I just missed not having other animators around to say, hey, maybe you should change this. It would be more dynamic if you do this, or flick the hair, or make the hand move up.
Parfois, il arrive que vraiment il n'y ait personne de connecté, qu'il n'y ait vraiment personne à qui parler. Et bon, dans ce cas-là, on est obligé d'arrêter. Et puis, on reprend plus tard quand il y a du monde. Quand
je suis tout seul, il n'y a pas mieux que ça pour travailler. Et si j'ai envie de discuter avec William et qu'il est en ligne, on discute sur 3DVF, je pose des questions. J'ai absolument pas le sentiment d'être seul.
5-10 heures sur un même plan, on voit plus ses défauts, on voit plus ce qui va pas, on voit pas que d'un seul coup il y a un arbre qui est immense par rapport à l'autre, même si ça peut paraître flagrant comme ça. Et de se les montrer entre nous, les images, là on va tout de suite dire, ça voit bien que ça va pas ça, et on va dire ah oui, oui. Donc déjà on peut déjà se faire il y a déjà un premier niveau d'analyse avant que Fred voit les images.
I don't do things normally when I animate. I like to have music on every now and again. I'll have the TV on and my stereo playing, and I'll be animating, and I'll have an MSN message going, and something's cooking in the kitchen, and I'm fine with that. It keeps me focused. It really sounds strange.
Si j'ai envie d'arrêter de travailler, d'aller au WC, d'écouter un morceau de musique, de me faire un café, mais personne n'est là pour me dire quoi que ce soit.
Plus, outside of a studio, some of the things I did to my computer, they wouldn't let me do to the studio computer. I'm a computer user, and I play with stuff. My computer's overclocked. It's running way faster than it should be. I've added monitors. I've switched video cards 4 times in the production.
Le seul bémol que je mettrais à ça, entre guillemets, c'est qu'à un moment donné, il faut quand même se rencontrer et prendre l'apéro ensemble et se connaître, comme c'était le cas aujourd'hui, pour mettre des visages sur les noms. Voilà.
Hi, Carl, nice to meet you.
Hi.
At last.
It's me, Helmut.
Great.
Yeah, but not too much Salut, ça va? D'accord.
Ça, Maya, elle fait pas.